We are live on the YouTube channel and also on the Twitter account. I don't even know where to start with this. Actually, it's almost like speaking at a funeral or something, isn't it? One of the saddest things I think I've done in my life. You all know why we're here and the shit news we've had this week about the A's and Vegas. So myself, Dom, Hannah, and Mark, potentially, if he can get his IT act together at some point, thought we would have a live stream and a pod recording to talk about all of the news. And obviously, if you're watching, you can get in contact via the YouTube chat and pass on your thoughts. Where do we even start, guys? I put on my notes initial reaction, shocked but not surprised. How did you feel about it, Dom?
Well, I woke up on Thursday morning pretty hungover, did my usual thing of checking the score, then headed over to Twitter where we had a few notifications going on. And I think you tweeted the night before, we'd lost 10-1 or something. You tweeted the night before, numb to it now. And someone was saying, no, this really hurts. I thought, what? I mean, we're shit. We lose all the time. Why does this really hurt? And then sort of started doom scrolling. And my initial reaction, and I was hungover, was immediate fury. Just fiercely angry, just really fucked off. How dare they do this? This is a son of the Bay Area. This is a man whose family built its fortune off of the Bay Area, Frida Gap, etc., who is stealing one of the Bay Area's crown jewels for pieces of silver and taking it to Vegas. I can't get past that. And to be honest, the more details that I hear, we watched Casey Pratt's live appearance earlier on, didn't we?
Yeah.
And the more we hear, like the fact that Oakland had more public money ready than Vegas.
Yeah.
How the fuck is this going on? It's just infuriating. And then there seems to be a suggestion now that it's effectively it was a negotiating tactic that's backfired. And if that's true, I mean, just utter snakes. It's negotiating 101. I've been on negotiating courses. They tell you duplicity is not a negotiating tactic, but these guys don't seem to understand that. Well, assuming that part of it's true, but they've been duplicitous throughout, no matter what, because they've said that they wanted to be in Oakland. And if that was true, then they've been duplicitous running Vegas against it. And if they actually always wanted to be in Vegas, they've been even more duplicitous. So just snakes. Anyway, I've still not quite calmed down.
I'll be honest, when I woke up the morning, checked my phone, and I remember staring, I think it was Casey Pratt's tweet about it, where he'd quoted the an image of the statement he'd had from the A's. And I remember just staring at it, desperately trying to look for clues that this may be some sort of spoof account or parody account, in the hope that it might not be true. And then starting to scroll through the messages and realizing it was. Hannah, you're not on Twitter, and the more sensible one of us as a result, for keeping away from that land of lunacy.
Yeah.
How did it hit you?
I'm actually still wondering whether I'm still in denial a little bit, because, yeah, it hit me hard. I said to someone that I don't think I was surprised that this is happening, but I'm shocked at how hurt I am about it. And like, I didn't really say much for the first couple of hours. I couldn't even, because I can't get on Twitter, like you say, but I didn't even want to. I was like, oh, this is, I've heard it wrong, or it's not right, or this is some sort of, because we've had it in the past where, and I think Dom mentioned, this is some tactic that Cabal was using to leverage against the city. I was like, oh, maybe it's something like that. But I think I didn't even have that hope at that point. I was just like, this is it. And I don't know that I was angry. I think you can call me a poor fan, but I haven't really paid as much attention as I used to this season, probably the back end of last season. I think all of my anger came out then. And what I'm feeling now is just a big sense of loss. I'm trying to be philosophical and think, well, look at the memories we've had and all that. But but yeah, it's something I've had my whole life. I mean, I've been going to the Coliseum for 30 years, and I'm not. We don't even live there, so imagine the people that get to do that every single day. Like for us, it's a holiday, and as much as we love it, but yeah.
I think it's worth taking a bit of time to sort of break this down. There will be fans that that fall into multiple camps here. We hold ourselves out as representing UK fans. There will be UK fans of the Athletics, and I've chosen my words very carefully there, that'll be fine with this because it means a new stadium. They'll be excited about visiting Vegas. So I don't harbour any grudge against fans like that, but they've not really made the effort to understand what the Oakland A's are. And now I've chosen my words again very carefully. I think anyone who's been to the Coliseum, we know a lot. We know a good few UK fans who are equally dismayed, hurt, upset, angry. Jen, Chris, Niall, others. Anyone who will have been to the Coliseum will be hurting from the idea that not just that they're leaving the Coliseum, that that would have smarted enough moving to a new stadium, but there'd have been a tinge of excitement too with a new stadium in Oakland. But to be leaving the city, it's just unthinkable. And that's sort of where I keep coming back to. We're trying to explain it to work colleagues to whom baseball's a foreign concept anyway. They're just like, oh no, American teams move. In baseball, one team during my entire lifetime moved. That was the Expos. That just isn't it just doesn't happen. And to my recollection, the Expos were never in Montreal for 55 years. This is teams that this team, friends of ours have supported them their entire life. This is like Liverpool leaving. It's just unthinkable.
Yeah. It's and it's a thing that it's been hanging over everyone for so long. In a sense, you kind of get numb to it, but at the same time, there's always been this feeling that hopefully they will make something come through. And of course, we'll get into a bit more detail on this in a moment. But Howard Terminal has been by far and away the most progress they've ever made in Oakland, and it did seem to be, although there were clearly lots of challenges still, it did seem to be going in the right direction. So to land this out of nowhere, and by all accounts, it has kind of come out of nowhere, even to the Oakland mayor, just shows a complete lack of, just complete contempt of the fans and of the area, and just shows that all of the stuff around rooted in Oakland and all of that was bullshit. Basically, it was a marketing slogan to try and get some money for a property development that also might have a ballpark somewhere, and when it made sense to them to play us off Las Vegas, they were more than happy to do so. And it's very frustrating.
I think go on, sorry, Han.
No, I was just going to say that it's the fact that we're moving from Auckland, but it's as well that we've been played. It's not just that they're taking the team away; it's that they led us down this false path. So it feels like a double hit almost.
Yeah. So we are joined by Mark. Hopefully, we haven't tested the sound yet. Come on.
I don't speak.
Yes, it works.
It serves me right for buying a, shall we say, a Fisher-priced laptop. Clearly, no actual money spent on it, and it doesn't work properly. So there you go.
Lovely. Well, we've only really just got going, Mark, and we were just kind of each of us talking about our initial reaction and our initial experience of hearing the news. How did you hear it? What was your initial point? Because as we've all been saying, we've kind of had this in the back of our minds for a while, but still, when it hits you hard.
I think the strangest thing was obviously woke up in the morning. Dom had put like a message on one of the groups. I wasn't sure what it was. I went onto my Twitter feed and it was just full. It was everything. Yeah, I was just kind of didn't see it coming like I did to a certain point, and obviously spent a good half hour, an hour that morning going through everything, trying to get up to speed of what had actually been said, what had happened, because a lot of the tweets were fuck Fisher, fuck Canal, and other various kind of themed tweets, and I was kind of like, what? I didn't know what had happened at all, and I managed to obviously get to the bottom of it, and through our WhatsApp groups and through Twitter, it just suddenly dawned on me that again leaked apparently, and then obviously they made the statement. And then obviously throughout the day, it was just keeping on top of it all. It was just, as much as you said, we were always in the back of our head prepared for something. That's it, I don't know. Like I said, waking up and then suddenly going through all that was not how I saw it coming.
No, and I think
And
I think
very
I put it
cowardly
on
as
the
well.
WhatsApp at one point, and it felt a bit like a relative who's had terminal illness or something. So you've known it's been, you've kind of thought it might be coming. That doesn't make it any easier when it happens, does it?
Yeah, not at all. And it was just trying to get my head around it, understanding, like I said, the ins and outs of what had been said and what, obviously, both Facebook, Twitter, everything was full of not cryptic messages, quite clear what the messages were, but without the detail.
Yeah. And Laura Lair, always nice to hear from you, Laura. Obviously, sad situation we're talking in this one. I'm gutted, been crying off and on since I found out. I feel so betrayed, and I think betrayed is a very good word to use here. It's been being strung along, it feels like, anyway, and certainly again the comments from the Oakland mayor and everything like that, it certainly feels that way. They've where do we even go with it? I think part of the issue has been, for about 6 months or so, the A's have basically said nothing. Very deliberately, they've gone completely cold, completely quiet. Every time a journalist has tried to speak to Cavill or anyone else, they've just been blanked, basically. So it's been clear that something has been up, and we knew that Rob Manfred, the commissioner, had said that they were focusing on Vegas and blah, blah, blah. But by all accounts, this even caught the Oakland mayor unawares that they had had a meeting last week. They'd got a someone who'd come in to help try and broker an arrangement. They'd been planning it all last week. They were having a whole series of meetings this week to try and get through the final issues to kind of try to work a deal with a mediator by the end of this week. They felt that it was going well. We don't know how honest the A's were being in their discussions during that. I think that's got to be called into question, because they just didn't turn up to one of the calls on the Wednesday afternoon and then rang Mayor Sheng Tao and said, oh, sorry, heads up, it's going to be announced in Vegas that we've bought a piece of land there. Now, again, that just shows how far you can trust anything that they've done in all of this. That we always hated the idea of this parallel path thing, of that they were messing about with Vegas at the same time. But this does call into question, Dom, not whether Howard Terminal itself was ever an option, because I think clearly it was. They wouldn't have invested so much time and money if it wasn't a genuine option. But over the past 6 months, it feels like they've just been paying lip service to it, when really in the background they've been stringing the council along, knowing that they were going to go.
I think they've run Oakland as a stalking horse for Vegas, to be perfectly honest. I think when I think back, there was a trail of breadcrumbs that should have led us to this conclusion, and I think it's plausible deniability. We've ignored all of the signs. Dropping rooted in Oakland was the first sign. Turning up at Knights games, Caval. I think the moment that Laney College got away, they were probably focused on moving to Vegas.
Yeah, and even that was weird, wasn't it? Because they announced it, and then Laney College said, "Well, hang on a minute, we haven't really decided anything."
You haven't actually asked.
Yeah.
That's our land. Fuck off. Yeah. No. Yeah. I don't know. I'm looking at it all incredibly cynically now. But look, we shouldn't ignore the fact that it's still not a done deal. Hannah's going to get really upset with me for planting seeds of hope. But Casey Pratt earlier on said it's only 95% done. They still need to get. They still need a vote in Nevada to get the funding package. They still need loads of green lights in Vegas that isn't guaranteed. But it feels the most decided that it's ever felt that they'll be leaving.
Yeah, I think the way the statement ultimately came out after they leaked it, and then Rob Manfred with a statement as well, that there is a sense of, would they really row back from that? with any credibility. I mean, they don't seem to be too bothered about credibility. They just seem to do what they like anyway. But that's kind of how I've looked at it. And I think I put on my notes, always suspicious, that they started off quite a while ago ruling out the Coliseum site completely as a place for redevelopment. Now, obviously, that was always on the basis that trying to develop housing and everything else around there, whilst it would actually be really beneficial to the area, and why another group has entered an agreement with the city council to try and do that, it isn't going to make as much money. And ultimately, that's what Fisher and his various other partners were looking to do out of the thing. But I think it was Susan Slusser who wrote about this at the Chronicle. You know, kind of as soon as they ruled the Coliseum out completely, it's like, well, that's clearly the easiest. There were no easy options, but that's clearly the easiest way to get a new ballpark in Oakland. The fact that they ruled that out completely and wouldn't even entertain the idea of building there kind of showed you that how really committed were they. It was either, unless they got absolutely everything they wanted on a silver plate, they were going to go. Whether that's true or not, Mark, I don't know. But that was the feeling I got from a lot of that correspondence, and why they were just so completely set against trying to do something workable at the Coliseum.
Yeah, it felt like they were trying to make what they seemed as the right noises. Look, we'll look at Fremont, we're looking at, there was different sites thrown out. It's like we're doing everything we can.
Yeah.
And they were trying, it was as though they were just making the right noises, but in the background, as Dom said before, suddenly turning up at the hockey in Vegas, and so, and everything. It's just like, well, you're saying this over here, but you're doing that over there. So I mean, it's just like, but maybe the optimist in us all were kind of like going, no, obviously they're trying over here, but when you look back, it was just let's placate people while we look to do this.
Yeah, I mean, my thought with the Coliseum, although the Coliseum itself wouldn't have been easy to try to redevelop that site for various reasons. When you look at, as you mentioned, they tried to move to Fremont, they tried to move to San Jose, they looked at Laney College, they've looked at other places. This ownership group has repeatedly failed to get anything done. And then they put forward this idea of Howard Terminal, which is a very challenging site. The waterfront lots they have to try to get done. They need quite a lot of public funding around the infrastructure, or that's as they put it anyway. It's the whole thing would be a $12 billion development. And it's kind of like, the way I've looked at it in the past, it's a bit like somebody who has repeatedly failed to be able to climb up a hill, suddenly deciding to try and climb up Everest. It's like, well, if you haven't been able to get any of the other things done, why should anyone have confidence you can pull this off? And that's always been in the back of my mind, that they just never have given the impression in how they run anything that they have the credibility in the business now and anything like that, Hannah, to actually pull a big project like this off. And whether it was a case of, well, if they could somehow get other councillors or whatever involved to pull it off for them, they would do it. But were they ever really capable of getting this done, do you think?
Yeah, it as just echoing what everyone else has been saying, it does make you think, doesn't it, that they've put on something that's so ambitious that it was so unattainable. I think they're probably hoping that it didn't progress as far as it had done. Yeah, that's what I'm left thinking.
Yeah, that's a good point. That they knew there would be lots of challenges to it. They knew there would be lots of interest groups at the port who would try and take over it. So maybe that was part of it. Look, we'll put money into it, but there's a chance that other forces will say we can't do it, and then we can say, well, it's not our fault that we've got to go. We're being forced out, basically.
Yeah,
I might be being naive, but I'm not convinced that they pursued Oakland knowing that it would fail. I think they pursued it as a stalking horse to Vegas, and I think that they've been serious about a new stadium since bringing Caval in. They brought a guy in who has experience of building a stadium against all odds with the Avaya. So I think that probably gave us hope at the time, but the reality is that his focus has been elsewhere.
Yeah.
But the problem is, though, that we're even thinking that, isn't it? That I'm even having that thought that it was all some sort of play, that he knew they were going to fail. That's what's upsetting, that that we've got those kind of owners where we don't trust a thing they say, and anything can be so like you just.
Do you know what I was even thinking the other day, Han? Do you remember when we met Chris Giles in Tokyo?
Yeah.
And he was like the nicest guy. And do you remember at the end of that season he left? And we were like, how has he left? I mean, this is pure speculation. But I was just thinking earlier on today, my head's been up my arse for the last 2 days thinking about the A's. And the thought just crossed my mind. I wonder if that was the point that they said we're moving to Vegas, and Chris Giles went, fuck this. Maybe I'm giving him far too much credibility. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, they tried to claim that the A's access plan that he brought in cost them money. I think that sounds like very dodgy accountancy from the A's point of view. I mean, we had the recent...
Well, it's dodgy one way or the other, isn't it? Because you either don't let him do it, like you either didn't budget for it and then let him spend a load of money, or you're lying.
Yeah. I mean, we'll go with lying, I think, on that one. And of course, you know, some of those signs, I mean, the teardown last off-season, that was something we've sort of seen in the past, not quite to this extent, but there was a certain, you could make a case for it in a sense that if they weren't going to re-sign players like Chappie and Oli, trade them and try and build again, that's, it's not nice, but it's fair enough. But the way they've done it, and especially coming into this season, I mean, it is completely ripping everything away. I mean, they have been absolutely pathetic. And it was really telling last Friday, so a week today, when that horrendous game against the Mets, when we managed to walk 17 players. And Mark Kotsay came out after the game and said, this is not a competitive environment right now. And he wasn't directly saying that about the owner, but everyone could read between the lines there. It's like, this is, you know, I know this sounds like shitty corporate management speak, but it is true to an extent. The culture always starts from the very top, and the culture and environment that the John Fisher and Cavill have created at Oakland is just a land of losers, basically. And, you know, there is no great morale, no great sense of ambition or that they're going to achieve anything. You know, it's a nightmare, Mark. And where do we go with it from there? I mean, what do you think the A's are going to do? You think the A's, this will almost release the A's players a little bit, or do you think they probably don't care either way? It's difficult to know, isn't it?
I'd like to think they do, but ultimately it's a contract. You know, they can't be that emotional about it, because you know there's a good, especially with the A's, because shorter contracts, people move on very quickly. You know, there can't be an emotion, I guess, and they've got to separate from them. I'm hoping, as you said, maybe it does just free them up a little bit and just go, well, let's just come out and just play, just let's try and enjoy it, or what? I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking if I was in their shoes, you'd want to just go, right, well, okay, this has been hanging over. There's been a cloud here. Now let's just go out and do what we can and forget them.
It's about to get incredibly toxic. This isn't going to create a conducive environment to better baseball. And I think that the players are going to be split. There's going to be players like Chapman who clearly never fucking cared. Just wanted to get a big contract, wanted to play well, and therefore move on. And there'll be players that have linked with the fans who'll be heartbroken for us. I sent you guys, I can't remember, I think it was earlier today, Dallas Braden's little video montage.
Yeah.
You know, that's a player that, I know he went on to be employed by the organisation, but there's other players like that really cared about the fans. Those players will be as heartbroken as we are.
Yeah. Like you say, it is difficult, especially in baseball, because you could be traded at the drop of a hat with no say anyway. So you're kind of, you're conditioned to think that way, that the team can just get rid of you anyway. So how far do you invest in the team? But it depends who you are, doesn't it? And it's always been the thing that because it's such a difficult environment, the fact that certain players really made an effort to buy into it, someone like a Cole Irvin or someone like that made them all the more special to us because it isn't a given. Whereas, you know, you go to the Yankees, everyone's going to talk up the Yankees and be up their arse and all of that stuff. That's not usual in Oakland. And the people who cared, like I say, Dom, and really put something in, were really got it back. And you've had that from people. People have come out on Twitter, people like Josh Reddick. I know some of his comments kind of went down badly when he left at times, but you know, I know Jorge said he was, you know, Reddick was the only one who actually came to a fan event that they laid on one year. And, you know, it's the sort of people like that who have always believed in Oakland and understand that the true fans are as good as any fan in the country. They all get tarred with the same brush, really, don't they, Tom?
I think, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, in terms of tarred with the same brush, it's been amazing to see the way various press have covered this. You can tell the lazy journalists from the ones that actually look into it, based on how they've sort of explained what's going on. The lazy ones are saying, "Oh well, there's no attendance, so of course they're moving." Yeah. The ones worth their salt are going, "Well, hang on, they've sunk the team. They've doubled season ticket prices. They've taken away all benefits. They've treated fans like shit." Just rewinding the conversation slightly to when we were talking about the trades and the blowing up the team last year. Again, this trail of breadcrumbs, the Minaya trade, made no fucking sense.
Yeah,
didn't even make baseball sense. They've been trying to sink it. They've been trying to sink it. Yeah. It's I don't know. I can't help but draw parallels to the Tories.
Yeah, well, just,
yeah. They're trying to get they're trying to get a message out there that there's no fans in Oakland and therefore they've got to move, and that's how they're trying to justify it.
It is.
And I
force the fans out, and then
I hope that any journalist worth their salt looks into this properly and points out that that's bollocks and that that's their line and it's not a true reflection. The other thing, heartbreaking, like the fans are about to do a reverse boycott. They're about to show up in droves. They'd have packed the Coliseum to prove that it's not a fan thing. The 68s have been running a "It's Not Our Fault" campaign.
Yeah.
There you go. Stop blaming us.
There you go.
Stop blaming us, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is a neat segue onto the 68s because, I mean, however upset I am and however angry I am, here's Ross. I think I messaged. We've all got a group with the 68s from, well, a few of them who came to visit us last month. I said I messaged them on Thursday morning. They must have been up late there Wednesday night. And I said, I'm stood here shaking with anger. God only knows how you feel. You know, this just means I'll go to bed earlier. But for them, this is their way of life torn away.
Yeah.
It's just unthinkable.
It is that part that's difficult for us because I know we had the situation with Wimbledon and MK Dons, but by and large, this just doesn't happen here and wouldn't be allowed to happen here. And the fact that still, even some, again, go back to your earlier point, Dom, if some A's fans, particularly people who don't live in the area, want to carry on supporting them, that's up to them. But there's even some people who just sort of almost shrug their shoulders at, well, that's just how it is. I just don't understand that attitude at all, Mark. It's just, like, just get on with it and protest and, you know, just try and do something, you know, stand up for yourselves, which is like the 68s have been trying to do.
Yeah, and this, like you said, you know, it's a foreign concept to us. And I think Dom on one of the groups made a real good point. It's like Man United, so Manchester United moving to London and playing at Wembley just because there's a load of fans down in London. Yeah, it's just, you know, it's not going to happen. But as you've said, I mean, my brother lives over in Chicago now, and he kind of said it was obviously starting to follow it, that it's just a natural thing. Obviously, he was in Indianapolis and Colts were originally Baltimore, you know, kind of going into that thing. I know it's not happened for a while in MLB. But there is almost that acceptance of, well, you know, sometimes this just happens and we'll still follow our team or we'll still, whoever they are. Whereas to us, it's a very, very foreign concept. And I think we see the closest that we feel about it with the likes of the 68s who are just like, well, this is how, you know, this is really shit and we're not going to follow him on. We're not going to. I've seen some real tear-jerking tweets from some of the right field bleacher guys in terms of this has just destroyed them.
Yeah.
And as it would have, you know, if it happened to my football team over here, that's exactly what it'd do.
Yeah. Yeah, like you say, it's a way of life. It's not wins and losses or anything like that. It's the schedule and the rhythm of your season and the friends you make and the going there with your parents or your grandparents and taking your kids and all of that, the generations just being blown to smithereens for no, it seems from the outside no great reason. There clearly
Yeah.
is a way to get something done in that market and to make it successful if you really want to do it. And that's ultimately been the point, isn't it? They haven't wanted to. Quick comment here. So unfortunately, I believe if they had persevered in Oakland, they would be tangled up in court cases for years with no progress. Vegas, a building friendly, was probably always going to be this way. Now, that's an interesting point in terms that Dave Cavell yesterday, I mean, I don't believe anything that comes out of his smarmy, snaky voice mouth. But he did sort of say, well, even if we got approval, we probably wouldn't be able to open a ballpark until 2030 in Oakland because of the delays that there's going to be. There is a little bit to that. We know things are difficult in California. We know there are lots of ways you can challenge stuff, but to me, that's just part of the game. You know that's how it's going to be. If you're committed to building in Oakland and committed to building California, there will, you bring that into your timescales and you just get on with it. This isn't about a quick two-year plan. This is about setting the direction of your company, your business for the next 30 years or so. If it takes you a little bit longer to move into a ballpark, well, if you really cared and you really believed in that project, Dom, you wouldn't mind, would you? That's I think the idea that, well, it's going to take a bit too long from Cavill's voice is disingenuous.
If they're committed to Oakland, they make it work in Oakland.
Yeah.
There's other stadium projects that have been built in California. We all know that California has these wacky rules and it's really difficult and it's stacked against you, but they can make it work. They had, agree with you, Kim. They had a special court thing, didn't they? That meant that there was only 12 months in which you could raise an argument about it.
Yeah,
And that passed.
they got that legislation passed, didn't they?
They cleared a load of the hurdles. They clearly were never committed to doing it. I should just sorry, while you're on me, Kevin's message came up earlier on. I don't know if you're still listening, Kevin, but hiya. And my heart goes out to you guys, and as with Kim and the others that we know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll come back to a comment from Kevin in a second, but this is a follow-up from Sub-Aqua Smith. How much pressure do you think MLB exerted as they say they want the A's and Rays resolved before expansion? I do think that is a genuine part of it. They do want to expand to 32 teams. They want to get the A's and Rays sorted before that. They put the thing in the collective bargaining agreement that the A's had to have a binding vote by January next year, which to me has always been, well, that's something they can throw at Nevada State. That's something they can throw at Oakland to say we have to have a deal. It's a bargaining tactic, isn't it? They could have found a way to get around it if they really wanted to. But I do think there is an element to that, because there has been a comment, and in fact, Kevin mentions it, saying sell the team to someone willing to deal with everything. I think the whole point is they just want it sorted one way or the other, and they don't really care. It's something, if I can find the slide, where are we? I think it's
I'm being cynical again, but I think they do care. I think they're just voting with their wallets.
Well, yeah, they care about the bottom line, don't they? Sorry, the thing I was going to mention, Bill Shakin, I think his name is, at the LA Times, put a column out today saying MLB and A should do the right thing and keep the team in Oakland. But as part of that, he notes the commissioner works for the owners. Fisher does not want to sell. If Manfred leaned on Fisher to sell, every other owner might wonder when the commissioner might try to push him out too. And I think there's that. It's not a nice thing to admit, but I think there is that side of the other owners aren't going to push anything against Fisher because maybe it happens to them down the line. It's self-preservation.
But there's a difference. They just gave Fisher back the fucking share, the profit share, the revenue share.
Yeah.
They just gave him that, and he sunk his fucking payroll. He just pocketed it. I mean, there's a justifiable reason that sets him apart from other owners here.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
And that's
they should be furious.
Yeah, some of there's something I read today, and going back to what you said before, Dom, in terms of that 5%, not a done deal. In terms of, why would the Nevada board think we'll plow all this money into having Fisher with us when they're in line for an expansion team anyway? So, obviously by bringing the A's, they're bringing Fisher.
Yeah.
and he'll stand out as a different one to everyone. So Nevada boy are going to go, well, yeah, we'll have him. Look what he's done to. Did they want the ruthless kind of element of what he's done, or do they, they were in line for a team anyway?
Yeah, they were likely, they're one of the key candidates to get a team.
Yeah.
As Sub Aqua Smith says, be interested to see whether MLB levy a relocation fee. So this is something that has been dangled publicly for the past year, that Manfred has said they don't have to pay a relocation fee. That's always seems quite a suspicious point, because why would go back to your point, both of you, why would the other owners bend over backwards for Fisher? I think Bill Shakin's point was right, that, well, maybe they don't want to rock the boat. But at the same time, he's been so egregious in how he's dealt with things. Clearly, some owners must not be happy, because the previous CBA, they deliberately withdrew revenue sharing from the A's because they were pissed off that they are not a small market team and they would keep getting those handouts. So I think the patience was wearing thin. So it is just weird. Why would they take Vegas out of the running to be an expansion team, and being prepared to pay maybe $2 billion for an expansion team and just giving them one for free to the benefit of only John Fisher? Why would they do that, Hannah? To me, it doesn't make sense. Maybe I'm missing something.
No, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm going into conspiracies and thinking that, I don't know, you must have something on Manfred, or there's something deeper than this, because it doesn't. Of all the things that don't make sense in this whole sorry state of affairs, that is probably the biggest one, because it just, I mean, we don't have any kind words to say about Manfred and MLB at the moment, but other owners, surely one of you'd only take 2 or 3 to say something and something could happen. Because it's bringing their reputation down as well, because everyone's like, oh, all MLB owners are the same. Well, this is, maybe I'm being idealistic, but this is their chance to say, no, we're not the same. Yes, we're all in it for money to a certain degree, but we are not like him. But again, that's probably idealistic, and people don't stand up like that anymore, do they? Or fewer and fewer people do. So
it doesn't seem like it, does it? It is very frustrating in that sense. Kevin mentions that Fisher is a lifelong Giants fan. Cavill, Indians, Guardians fan. Showing their interest in the A's is more about maximising dollars and maximising championships. Yeah, probably fair enough. It was interesting, actually. Susan Slusser again mentioned this in her piece about it. That the Fisher family, going back to the Gap and all of that, are a very well-known, high-profile family in San Francisco. And she was making a point, this is not going to reflect well on him. Yes, there may be some Giants elements that quite like the idea of having Northern California to themselves, fair enough. But by and large, this is not going to reflect well on him. It seems such a strange situation, though.
I don't buy the argument that Giants. I mean, that's like, obviously Liverpool fans would have a tremendous laugh if Everton were relegated, but fuck me, we'd miss the derby. Giants fans don't want the A's to move to Vegas. Surely not. Not real fans.
Not the fans. No, the owners think that, well, we've got a bigger fan base to market to from now on.
Yeah, I've seen a bit on that, actually, where they've said now there's the kind of catchment area that they've got, and the money that's available now for the Giants as owners is going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, it will be. It will be, because the Bay Area,
that area, to have one team. Yeah, to have one team, given that other major cities have been made to have 2 teams, they'll be sat there with North California to themselves.
Which again comes back to the point: why are the other owners happy with this? There are fans of the Angels and Dodgers and things like that in Vegas. Now, again, they're probably fair weather fans, so they'll go to Aviators. But in any case, why would they want to help out the Giants? That doesn't seem. It doesn't add up to me. I think there's clearly politics and all sorts going on in the background around it all. I don't know. I think that's been part of the thing for me. And I had a few slides here to if I can just bring them up if I click the right button.
We've not.
So you go first, Dom.
No, I was just going to say we've not brought the snakes up yet.
I brought the snakes. I can bring the snakes up again. Hang on. There you go. There's the snakes.
There's the. Anyone watching, just hold on this slide for a minute or two.
Get your screen grabs.
Just going to say, get some darts.
Darts, yeah. Don't smash up your monitor. We may get a bill for people smashing their laptops or monitors up at the sight of the snouts in the trough and Manfred, Cavill, and Fisher, the snakes. There you go. Anyway, what I was going to bring up is some of the situations with the other teams. So, because this is something, to be honest, a lot of fans, although there's some arseholes on Twitter, and we always know there are, mostly the comments have been, we think this is disgraceful and we don't like the way you've been treated. And again, we spoke about this previously, Dom, that we even got that at Yankee Stadium last year where, they were actually pitied us rather than having a go at us, which kind of showed how bad a state we were in. But this is a comment from the Reds president. He's the son of the owner, Phil Castellini, in April last year, where fans were very unhappy that they tanked their team, had a good team and just traded them all away, Sonny Gray and others. He said, well, where are you going to go? Let's start there. I mean, sell the team to who? If you want to look at what would you have this team do to have it be more profitable, make more money, compete more in the current economic system like this game exists, it would be to pick it up and move it somewhere else. And so be careful what you ask for. I mean, that is their attitude, isn't it? And I think that's something fans should pay heed to. They could do it to you too. They don't care. If they see a situation where they can move and make money, then they will do. I know teams like the Yankees, Cubs, people like that, sure, they're not going to move. But, you go through a few of them. The Milwaukee Brewers, their ballpark opened in 2001, so just over 20 years old, which in American terms apparently means it's ancient and needs to be
decrepit.
Yeah, exactly. So they want $360 million towards stadium upgrades from the taxpayer. Their lease runs out in 2030, so they're trying to use that to extract more money out of them. Camden Yards, they want a lease extension. That is a bit older, albeit a beautiful ballpark. They want nearly $600 million of taxpayers' money. And again, they're using the fact that their lease is running out to try and get that. Chase Field in Arizona, their lease runs out in 2027. In fact, at one point, Arizona were flirting with Vegas as well, or they chucked it in the conversation somewhere. So they want a lot of public money. Kansas City Royals, they've spent a lot of money in the past 5-6 years doing up Kauffman Stadium, but they now want a downtown ballpark, want the best part of $1 billion in public funds to go towards it. So that's the thing. The games that have been played towards Oakland and us, that's how they see that as how it works, and that's what they're going to do to other teams. And I think anyone looking at the A's and thinking, well, it's been inevitable, tough luck. They need to look at their own situations and try to put themselves in our shoes, and especially the shoes of the people out there in Oakland, and try and think, how would you feel if it happened to your team?
A few things. So, one, thank you to everyone in the UK community that's reached out to us. Backflips and Nerds sent us a hug. I'll get the wrong team. There was another UK team that sent us a nice message.
Astros,
George at the Astros.
Reds,
that wasn't who I meant, but George at the Astros sent us a nice message. Joey, Baseball Brit. We've had a lot of support from the UK community. So I think most people who are properly engaged see that we've been completely shafted, and feel sad with us. Absolutely, at Yankee Stadium we got that. I think wherever you go now as an A's fan, you're going to get that. Like, real fans are going to see that this isn't a good thing. I think take a step back from it. This stems from it being a franchise model. Look, that isn't going to change. There's too many vested interests, and the power is with the owners. It won't change. But it's because it's a franchise model that this shit is allowed to go down. It just wouldn't happen in Europe. It really wouldn't. And that's because we don't have a franchise model.
Much as certain American owners would love to try and put something in along those lines, wouldn't they?
Yeah. We stamped out the Super League as soon as they suggested it.
Yeah.
There'll be more fights to be had in the future around that, but it doesn't make sense. It's not an acceptable approach. You have to have relegation. You have to have promotion. That won't happen in baseball. It won't happen in Major League American sport. The franchise model's locked in. I'd love to tear it down. I'd be totally behind any protests about it. But look, realistically, that isn't going to be the solution here. I think the solution here is expansion rather than moving teams. I think people need to not make credible a move because lots of teams moved 40 years ago, 60 years ago, 100 years ago. Of course they moved really early on in the game. It's a franchise model. It sprouted up in like 2 pockets and then had to expand out from them. So of course it moved west from the east. Philadelphia had 2 teams. Of course you move one of them. Because it's early on and you're trying to spread the game across the country and you're
New
using
York
a
the same,
franchise
right?
model.
Brooklyn
Exactly.
Dodgers, New York Giants.
So look, and my sympathy would still be with the fans who lost a team way back when that did happen. But I understand if you're using a franchise model, why that happened. This isn't an immature sport that's trying to spread across the country. This is a mature sport. It shouldn't be acceptable to take a team away from fans when it's been in the city for 55 years.
Yeah.
The majority of those fans, that team has been their entire life. It's been there their entire life. That shouldn't be an acceptable thing.
No, because some people will try and throw that. I know someone tried to throw that at the 68s at one point. That well, you know, they're stupid because they're saying 68. Well, yeah, that's when the team moved there. So what have they got to moan about? And it's just like you say, it's a completely different scenario when Philadelphia A's moved, when Kansas City A's moved. It was a completely different time and a completely different setup. The idea that means now anyone has to just accept that their team can be picked up and moved anywhere else, and you just have to shrug your shoulders is total bullshit.
Arseholes. I feel sorry for them. Pull your head out your ass and go to some games and try and enjoy the sport.
Yeah.
It's a sport. It's not fucking. It's not. If you shouldn't be supporting the owner, you should be supporting a team. It means something to you.
Now that ties into a comment from Kevin. And he does say sorry to ask this, but those of you planning to fly out, what are your sentiments right now? I think it's a good question. It's a really tough question, and I'm sure, Kevin, you can probably understand. We've been, you know, agonizing over this stuff and talking it through. And I mean, from my point of view, I was due to go in May. I hadn't booked anything other than the flights, and I can get them refunded. I don't really want to go at the minute. I kind of want to go and see people out there, but I don't really want to go. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Hannah, I know you were in the same situation. You were looking at going out in September. How was it? Because there's this side of, well, enjoy them while they're there. And I know there's a bit of a debate on Twitter with some fans saying that I want to keep going as long as I can. I can completely get that if you feel that way, especially, again, people out in the Bay Area. But Hannah, how do you feel about it?
Oh, suddenly gone really sad now.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. I don't think I can right now. To me, it's like it's happened. They've gone. Is how I feel at the moment. I don't feel like I can support them. I don't even feel like I can watch them. And it's not, you know, it's nothing about the current crop of players. It's, you know, it's technically it's nothing to do with the fact we're absolutely crap. But I just, because it's not the same, it feels so hollow, and I don't know, it doesn't feel like my team. They may as well go tomorrow is how I'm feeling. This is how I felt yesterday, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll sleep on it and I'll kind of be like, no, I'm going to enjoy the rest of the season. I'll try and get out there to go to the Coliseum one last time, but I don't think I'm there. I don't think I can do it. Just absolutely devastated.
It does come back to that idea of grief, isn't it? It's like you go through different stages of it, and maybe I do keep having this in my mind, maybe I'll feel a little bit different. So I've not cancelled anything just yet, but it is very, very tough. And like you said, you know, the team's terrible. I very deliberately have been watching pretty much every game, either live or on repeat, almost to spite Fisher and Cavill. I've kind of took the stance of I'm not going to let them take this away from me. I'm going to watch it, even though we're absolutely terrible. What are we? 3-16, lost 7 in a row. We are hopeless. I'm like, no, I'm going to stick with it. They're not going to force me out. And honestly, I'm not watching tonight. I'm not watching this weekend. I can't bring myself to do it, to be honest. And I don't know when I'm going to feel differently. Mark, what do you feel like?
Well, I mean, I was the only one at the Fulls that I wasn't booked to go this year. And I know that I kind of went the other way a little bit in terms of part of me now wants to go out, not for necessarily the A's, but for the people. And if they're still going, to be there with them. And it changes by the hour. I mean, I'll be honest. I keep thinking, I want to go out. I want to see those guys. I know I threw it out there that actually let's go out and we'll just go and watch a Roots game, a Soul game, see the people, and give nothing. I don't want to give money to anything to do with Fisher and Cavall at the moment. And that'll probably lead on to something else in a bit, won't it? But it's a case of, part of me wants to go out, see the people, be part of it. Obviously, wearing Soul tonight. But when it comes to maybe going to the A's, I don't want to give any money there. I don't want to do anything further with that. And I know a couple of the 68s have mentioned they'd give up their season tickets. They've been getting free. There's tickets that have been available for free for them to do whatever. So they're still gone. Whether that changes, I think a lot. They've been hit hard.
Yeah. So
day by day, I think it's just going to keep changing. I'm going to go from I want to go, and then to actually no, why? If I do go, I'm not going to spend any money there with them. So what will?
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of thinking I'd like to go, and then I saw the tweet from the 68s where they'd said they'd emailed the A's that they want to go and get their drums, and
yes,
it is tough. And then people like Kim, we love you, Kim. Please come and make more memories with us. And I completely get that, and it's very difficult to.
We absolutely will. I just want to clarify, like when I say I'm not going back, it's not that I will never go back to Auckland again. Of course I will. We've got lifelong friends there, and I want to go and see the Roots. I want to go back and see people. This was specifically about the A, so I don't want it to be like, oh, cut my ties with the city. That's not what I was saying.
And I think that's the thing. We've got like the Roots and people like that, and it's a case of we'll definitely be. And that's the thing. I think, Dom, you spoke earlier about maybe some fans who haven't been out there, maybe haven't built those bonds, haven't seen the community, and only see the one bit of being an A's fan, don't quite understand the emotional ties and everything else that comes with it. Those are never going to be broken. And like I say, Hannah, we've made friends for life. We'll still be going out to Oakland. We'll still be seeing them. We'll still be going to Roots games and Soul games. Maybe one day go to another baseball game there. Who knows? I don't think that's going to be an MLB franchise, but we don't know. But Cal baseball or Cal football or whatever, we'll still be going out there, Dom. But it's there. You got the Cal cap on, but it's the initial. Again, talking about grief, it's the initial mixed emotions and going up and down, and it's hard right now. So,
I wouldn't rush to make judgments on any other fans. Everyone's going to take this very differently. Currently, my thinking is that I really don't like the idea that I'll never set foot in the Coliseum again. This is going to be a bit alien to the US fans and anyone who's got a low opinion of the Coliseum, but the Coliseum is my happy place. It always has been. I'm always on holiday when I'm in the Coliseum, so I'm always low on stress. And I just enjoy it. And it's always sunny, and I live in a very grey part of the world. So the Coliseum is my happy place. The idea that I'm never going to set foot in the Coliseum again scares me more than that I won't have a baseball team, to be honest. So I will definitely be in the Coliseum again, and I hope that no one judges me for that. And I'm very happy to sneak beer in. I'm very happy to spend fuck all in there, because fuck Fisher. But I don't like the idea that I'll never set foot in there again. So I probably will go. Most of you know anyway, I've got a sister in Oakland, so I'll always be visiting Oakland. I've got the Roots now. That makes it slightly easier from that perspective. I'll see a number of the 68s at the Roots. The family, we're not leaving you. We'll still be out there. We'll still see you all. And I think, touch upon it briefly, but for those of you watching in Oakland who go day in, day out, don't underestimate the impact of this on your mental health. Look after yourselves, look after each other. This is horrible. One of our close friends tweeted that this is like losing a loved one, and I think that's probably not a wild exaggeration. Like this is horrible. So do make sure you all look after each other, because it is shit.
It is. And on a lighter note, Tom, so next year, 2024, You know, it's the T20 Cricket World Cup that England are going to defend their title. Being held in the US and West Indies, the Coliseum is one of the lead sites. The one thing that's been holding it back, apparently, or one of the main things, has been the A's have been unhappy about the idea. There was, I can't remember the name of the guy, but he made the official comments on it in the planning thing about it to the council about, well, we don't know if we'll have to go on a long road trip. It will affect the pitch. The city council isn't going to give us stuff about what the A's think about them hosting it there. Would you go to the Coliseum? We know you don't like the C word, Tom. I know you've got the C word on your head. How about next year if they get some of those games? Mark, Hannah, you in going to the Coliseum to watch some cricket? Absolutely. Come on, Tom.
He's ticks all the boxes. Get to go, and yeah.
I'm not going to any cricket.
T20, it's not proper cricket as you put it. It's not quite 100. It's 20 more balls than 100.
If the 100 goes, I'll go because that's a real sport.
It's in the new pub.
These are all in jokes. We need to move on. No one knows what we're on about.
I love the fact that 20 balls make such a difference.
It comes to a point that Phil Preem has put on the comments. Again, thank you for everyone who's commented. I'm not able to get to all of you. I'm trying to spin through them as much as I can. Does Oakland kick the A's out of the Coliseum at the end of the lease rather than when the Faker site is ready? So the lease runs out at the end of next season. I think there was no way on earth they will extend that lease if they're going for neither side. We know that the A's have already spoken to the Aviators, the AAA team in Vegas, and the plans are for them to potentially use that site, maybe with some temporary seating to up the capacity until the new stadium is ready, probably in 2027. I guess the question is more, they've got a year left on their lease. Do they fulfill next season at the Coliseum? What do you think? I know we're only speculating, we don't know, but do they want to play there? Do they go straight away? Is this the last season of the A's in Oakland? It's a horrible thought to think.
Depends how poisonous the atmosphere is now, and I wouldn't blame anyone for making it poisonous.
No,
they'll probably get higher crowds in Vegas, right?
Probably, yeah. I mean, they've been getting like, I know there are some exceptions, but they're often going like 4,000 people.
I mean, I
4,500.
honestly, now that they've said they're going, I don't know who renews their season ticket for next year.
No one.
Yeah.
But everyone was saying that even over the off season, they were basically still kind of essentially forcing people out, not really marketing it, putting prices up. Car parking is like what, $30 or something stupid.
I mean,
they are just forcing people away, aren't they?
We've made it assumed knowledge, but let's make clear for any of our listeners that don't know all of this stuff. They've made season ticket prices more expensive than it is to just buy individual tickets on discounts.
Yeah.
It's an absolute fucking disgrace. They are trying to force people out. They are trying to force people away.
Yeah. Ross says, are you running glow on Liverpool gear? You've got the whole banners behind you. It's a backdrop.
I'm not running low on Liverpool gear. Don't worry, Ross. I just chose to wear Cal and Roots to prove a point. Trying to support the city of Oakland, but not the Athletics.
And I guess that, that comes on to another point I put in my notes. Taking the A's with them. So at least with the Montreal Expos, they did a rebrand for the Washington Nationals, and the Expos have kind of remained a symbol of Montreal baseball. People still wear the cap. People still very proud of it. Cavill, you smarmy Weasley fucker, saying the other day, ooh, Las Vegas A's has a nice ring to it. Fuck off, you prick. Right. But they probably are going to take the A's. And obviously people will say, well, it was the Philadelphia Athletics. It was Kansas City Athletics. What's the problem? But Mark, I mean, I've got A's hats behind me. I feel really, really weird about it. I've got my flag.
Yeah.
It's like, do I wear them? I'm not getting rid of them because there's so many memories to them, but it's a very conflicted feeling right now for me anyway.
No, and I'm completely with you. I mean, I think they are going to take the name. I saw the same thing today, actually, that you mentioned Cavill on MLB radio, was it?
something like that.
saying Las Vegas A's has got a nice ring to it, smile, yeah, in a proper smarmy kind of way. I mean, we talk about like the wearing stuff. Obviously, when we went in September, I went out with 2 hats, came back with 8, came back with a load of gear. Don bought another suitcase full of gear. You know, it's some of the stuff I've not even worn yet because it's not even got to summer.
No.
I
Dom went
think
out
you'll
with so
find
many
I-
hats and came back with the same number.
I think you'll find I came back with the same number of hats.
I never
Might have
mentioned
left a
hats. I
few,
said you got another suitcase full of gear. And I keep looking at it all and just kind of going, what happens with this now? And you know, obviously you've still got yours behind you there, Matt, and purposely Dom's gone with Roots and Cal. I've gone with Soul tonight. I know you're not wearing anything with it on, and I'm the same. I'm just like, I've suddenly got this huge collection of stuff that I keep looking at, going, is there anything I can salvage out of any of that? And I think, no, I don't think there is. Don't know if I want to wear it.
It's too early to say. It's too early to say. I
It's
mean,
very
if
broad.
they were to go and be the Las Vegas casinos, or then you'd wear your A's stuff with pride, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because you'd hold on to them. I think, like Matt said, the memories of what it was, of what we've seen, what we've had, and the fact that it is. But if they take the name, take the symbol.
If they change the jerseys, if they change the colours, I think anything that ties it to Oakland, I'd wear happily. Anything that looked like I was a Vegas A's fan would get burnt or binned or charity donated, probably.
Yeah. I know we've spoken about this in the past, but when looking at the uniforms, we love the road greys. Yes, they're simple, but they're the one jersey that's got Oakland on the front.
Oakland on it.
And
Yeah.
people at other teams haven't really understood what that means to us.
Well, we've got the green one now as well, but the grey one was always the favourite because for so long, when they were toying with Fremont and San Jose and everywhere else, the grey one said Oakland on it.
Yeah. This is John. Thank you for commenting, John. Absolutely gut for athletic supporters coming from a Phillies fan, a family who were Philadelphia athletic supporters years ago. We know, so the start of last season, we started in Philadelphia, didn't we? And Jay, our friend, New York A's Jay, and he said that's always an interesting and a good series to go to because obviously there is still that legacy of the Philadelphia A's and there's kind of like a kinship almost. The years have gone by. Generally speaking, it's not like we've stolen their team or anything like that. There's an affection to it as much as anything. And if you've had a team leave you like that, especially if it's in your family's past, you'll understand how people are feeling today, really, I guess.
So John's my cousin. Hi, John.
Oh, of course, John. Yeah, of course. Sorry, John. This is from Martin. Well, firstly, I'll say, Martin, thanks for this. This is helping out what genuinely feels like a time of bereavement. No problem, Martin. That's why we're doing it. For my sins, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan as well as an A's fan. I like underdogs. We lost our football team to Baltimore. Strength of protest led to Cleveland getting team back as an expansion. Is there any chance of this happening here? Letting Vegas get the team, Fisher get what he wants, and Oakland keeping their A's?
If that happened, it's the dream move, right? Fuck
yeah,
Fisher off. Get an expansion team that can compete.
Yeah.
But
Don't listen, Hannah.
I say the dream move. It's clearly incredibly painful.
Would MLB want them to do that? It's almost like it shows they were wrong to let the team leave. That I don't know.
And an expansion team is going to find the same difficulty in building a stadium.
Yeah.
It's. I don't see it, to be honest. The Las Vegas slot.
Vegas slots.
Vegas slots or
That's brilliant.
Suggestion. The Vegas
Yeah,
flops.
that's better.
Hopefully. Well, they will be. That's the reality of it. I'm sorry, Vegas.
Yeah.
Fisher's not going to change.
No.
You're getting a team that will perennially not challenge.
And Kevin points that out. Las Vegas will get an MLB team regardless. It's a matter of if they want to have Fisher as the owner or someone else. Fuck knows why. And that's been even just like, why would you want to entertain this bloke?
Yeah. That's what I can't get my head around. Where do they go? Yeah, we'll give you $500 million. Here we go. Yeah. See what you do with that.
Yeah.
I keep coming back to the revenue sharing, but that guy's just pocketed that.
Yeah.
It's a disgrace. Why are the other owners even entertaining this guy? He's a joker.
Yes. Any further suggestions on the chat for a name for Vegas? Feel free to send them through. They're giving us a laugh at a difficult time.
The Las Vegas Strips.
Shits. Las Vegas fuckers? No, they're not going to go for that, are they?
Come on.
Probably not. So
it's not past the watershed in California, Matt.
well,
That's
I
a bit
did
late
say
for
it would
that.
be- yeah, it's like anyone tuning into this will realize what was happening and that there was going to be some uncontrolled language. Fakers craps. I like that one, Kevin. Good one. Good one.
Let's go with that one. In fact, let's get caps made.
Yeah, fakers craps.
Stickers.
I'm definitely getting a Vegas is shit t-shirt made up, I think.
Don't you'll have to get it made up. I reckon there'll be a load of it around soon.
Yeah, I'd like to think so, yeah. So yeah, where do we go from here?
I think if
we
we
spoke earlier about hope, and you know, like I understand where Hannah's coming from. You kind of prefer there was no, just to say, look, it's done, and not to have that little flickering flame tempting us along. But is there any, you know, as we say, Casey Pratt's interview early today, that there are issues. There does clearly seem to be a feeling from everything that's been discussed from all different parties that they deliberately leaked this information in the middle of list negotiation week, and it took them by surprise that Mayor Tao, probably to her credit, I know it's not necessarily to the benefit of things, but just turned around and said, well, fuck off then. Like they clearly weren't expecting that. Have they jumped the gun a little bit? Does that mean there's hope, or do you think they've now just gone down that path and that's going to be the way? What's your gut feeling? Anyone?
I'll jump
read
in
something-
because I think Hannah was saying that it was the hope that kills.
Okay.
They have jumped the gun. They're fucking shit at this. But I still think it's done. I think the writing's on the wall. If they've made a binding agreement to buy land in Vegas, that seems an awfully weird thing for a baseball team in Oakland to do.
Okay. Won't be all.
There we go.
What are you thinking, Mark?
Well, again, you know, just reading, as I mentioned before, it's the fact it's been leaked again, and the fact that potentially some of the stuff coming out today and after Casey Pratt was like, well, actually, it's not 100% done because of ABC. It's reliant on certain elements. I mean, I think it's such a slim chance that I don't, you know, the optimism has gone.
Yeah.
To a certain point. And yeah, it's more in Hannah's kind of position than the 5% optimism that's been talked about.
It's almost like if they come back cap in hand begging for a deal, fine. But otherwise, it's almost like it's part of their game to have us try to feel that there's maybe still some hope, and maybe that will pressure the Oakland mayor to try to go back to the table. But she's been very firm on it. It's always going to be difficult with politics and all of that. We don't, certainly I don't know the full ins and outs of all that side of it in California. But I think fair play, and I know we've always looked at it from the point of view of, well, you know, they should be realistic as to what taxpayers' money they chuck in. But if they think it's a bad deal and they're being played, you know,
so
call them out on it.
Matt, we've got a few Twitter comments coming in, so I'm just keeping half an eye on it.
Cool.
I say just coming in. It came in 29 minutes ago.
Right.
So I'm doing a really good job. The Kingfish says, couldn't join, but here's my comment. In my opinion, MLB knows expansion is limited. All possible candidates are smaller market. They don't see that fee in the cards soon. but they still want to keep public funding for stadiums on the table for all teams. So that maybe squares the circle that we couldn't get our heads around earlier on in the chat.
Yeah, good point.
If MLB is hell-bent that all stadiums get public funding, and he says, look at Atlanta and Texas, and the egregious waste of
taxpayers' money. Yeah.
Oh, remember those days when we were...
And Truist Park that me and Mark went to, that's a fucking pale imitation of Turner Field. Maybe that is the explanation.
Yeah.
I did read today again. I think later on in the day that, as you were saying about the mayor of Oakland, had kind of said, if we are willing to talk again, if they come back sensibly, and following the news that actually it wasn't signed and done and dusted, so to speak, with Vegas, but it has to be a sensible conversation. Which made me laugh a little bit, because I was there going, I'm not sure if you've realised they don't do sensible conversations. But it was almost like, the door, it was unfair that a lot of people jumped on kind of Oakland Mayor in terms of, look, the reason why she stopped negotiations because they were just ridiculous. It was stupid. Yeah. They were, they were using them for leverage.
There's an interesting angle to this, because I think Mayor Tao is struggling for popular opinion right now, and will not want to be the one that shut this down in some ways. So I expect she probably will. It's politics, right? But she's going to have a more robust public front than what's happening behind closed doors, I would have thought.
Yeah.
But look, we're building up hope again, and I'm just not sure it's there.
No. Let's distract ourselves. Sean has got a couple of entries. The Vegas blinds.
Nice.
Or the Vegas bluffs.
That's very appropriate for our owners.
Matt Hillman has said the Vegas sucks, which is a very accurate,
fair.
Very fair and accurate on that one. Oh dear. So I think it's a case of wait and see, isn't it? I think I'm certainly, like I said, I'm not really looking at the baseball right now. We spoke earlier about the London series. I know we've spoken about that in the past. I had bought tickets. I'm going to try and get rid of them. I'm not going to that. We may still, because I know we've spoken previously, we may do a meetup in London. Now, actually, there's a bit of me that thinks I'd really want to do it. I kind of went, I'm not going anywhere near it. And now I think, nah, fuck them. We're not going to do it near the stadium, but we will definitely do a meetup.
Absolutely. We're still doing London. We're not going to do the game, but we're gonna meet, and we'll be there for drinks with any UKAs
anyone
who want to join.
Anyone.
Anyone who fancies a beer.
We'll open it up. We'll sit in a Wetherspoons and send everyone what table we're on, and we're there if you want to be there or not. We won't be in a Wetherspoons at all. No, we won't be. We absolutely won't be. But we've definitely got to go down, so haven't we? We've said that.
Yeah.
So I think if we're building to a climax, can I just revisit? I said it before. If anyone's just joined since. Seriously, guys, look after your mental health with this. I know some people will be going, what the fuck are you on about, Clarky? Don't dramatize it. That this is a big thing, especially to the guys that go week in, week out, day in, day out. And even the guys who got sick of it and stopped going day in, day out last season, the season before. This is the finality. Look after yourselves, look after each other.
Definitely. I'm sure I'm far from the only person. Like my dad came round this morning, getting a bit emotional about that. To check.
Yeah, my dad's just to mention my dad's response was, they should have to share a stadium with the Raiders.
Good. Yeah. Yes. Well, thank you everyone for all of your comments. I know just after the announcement, I know Hal did like a Twitter space thing for more than 3 hours, just as a place for people to talk. And that meant a lot to people. And I know plenty of people have been on the chat and just been commenting. So I'm glad that it's helped you guys out there to hear some of us having a chat about it. And I'm sure, like you say, Dom, you know, different people will deal with it differently and process it differently, if you're in America. And you'll go through ups and downs in terms of how you feel about it and how you feel you should react to it or how you want to react to it. But yeah, I think we wanted to talk about it today. And oh dear, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to read this. This is from Michelle. I'm heartbroken for my Coliseum family, our bleacher crew, 68 members. Also the people that work at the Coliseum, these people are like family as well. Yeah. Very well said. And it's, in fact, Susan Slosser mentioned that there's lots of people who've worked for the organisation for years and years and years and years that they're going to, you know, it's not about moving a team for them, it's their living. It's, you know. This
is your classic. Don't take it out on the people who work for the A's. It's not their fault.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah. Yep, we're all with you, Jorge and Michelle and everyone else out there. Good stuff, Martin.
No offense to sit on there, is there, with Jorge? God bless him.
No, good man. Anyway, yes, as we said earlier, we will always be with Oakland, and there'd always be reasons for us to go out there to Oakland, whether it's routes or just catching up with people. So we are in no way leaving Oakland.
It's the capital of Earth.
The capital of Earth, absolutely. And we'll see. I'm still, I don't know. There's still this bit of me. I like the idea of like some rise from the ashes, independent Oakland Oaks team, and
oh god, yeah.
Like, you know. I like the idea of that, but that's probably not realistic. But there we go. I'll hold out hope that maybe we can create an Oakland roots version of a baseball team. And who cares that it's independent baseball and only say 6,000 people to still be able to go to a ballpark with the drums and everything. That's a bit of a dream of mine. I know I'm setting myself up for a
fan-led driven team. I love it. You know, we've seen it over here with like Phoenix clubs. It'd be brilliant. Oh, Matt, I never even thought of that element.
Yeah.
Damn you.
I don't know if it's possible, but I kind of feel if it, I know Jorge's mentioned this on Twitter, like Oakland baseball has a long, long history. And yes, we all love the A's, but there's a longer history. And Major League Baseball, unfortunately, can take Major League Baseball away from us. They can't take baseball away from Oakland and the fans away from Oakland. So if we have to, at some point, give up on the A's, we're not going to do it until the absolute bitter end. But if we have to, it's not the end of baseball in Oakland. We can come again and we can create something ourselves and be all the better for it. Let's do it. Absolutely. Well, that's a happy note to end on, I think. Maybe a completely unrealistic note to end on. Sorry, Hannah. I know you don't like the hope, but
no, I like that. That's a good bit of hope. I
don't think that that's terribly unrealistic. That Oakland would end up with something.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's been the thing for me. Like, you can say, well, we might get a minor league affiliate. That would piss me off if Vegas A's turned out and said, "Oh, we'll give you a AAA team or a AA team." That would really piss me off. I don't know.
I don't know. Jay was saying that if it's an independent minor league team, that the major league team doesn't get any money.
Yeah, if it's accurate, independent, but they're all the minor league teams have been taken over by Major League Baseball. Okay. So if it's a minor league system, if you're in the minor league system, you're part of Major League Baseball. It would have to be a kind of independent. Even a couple of the biggest independent leagues are now in partnership with MLB. But yes, as Jorge put it, resilience of the people of Oakland will keep pro baseball alive. I believe it with or without MLB. Yes, sir. And we'll be part of it too, one way or the other. There we go. Anyway, I think that is an unusually and unexpected hopeful point to end on, actually, I think.
Can we just bring the snakes up again?
Snakes. Here we go. Let's bring up the snakes.
I love the snakes.
Are we able to put cannon fodder music over this?
I haven't got my cannon fodder music on me, I'm afraid.
Matt.
You can sing it, Dom. War never been so much fun.
Yeah. There you go. There are the snakes. I'll post the image on Twitter. Don't worry. There we go. Independent team for sure. I got to go drink some mezcal. One love. Good man.
Cheers, Jorge.
We're all with you. All right. Right. Thank you everyone for watching. Little snakes. Yes, sir. So yes, thank you everyone for watching. We will put this on the podcast. I know we have only done a couple of podcasts this year, but I'll put it on a podcast set up tomorrow, just so you can listen to it. And obviously this will be available on YouTube anyway to rewatch. And we'll see how things go. Whatever we can do to help drum up support or drum up even a support network to deal with the shit, we will do our bit to help out. As much help ourselves out as anyone else. But yeah, we are very angry and frustrated and upset about it, but we're going nowhere from a Oakland baseball and Oakland fan point of view, even if Major League Baseball are fucking us over as per usual. There we go. On that note, thank you guys, Dom, Mark, Hannah. I know it's been a difficult one, but yes, there we go. Cheers to you all. Obviously, it's where are we? Oh, just gone 10 here. So yes, cheers to you all. And yeah, we'll be talking to you soon. One way or the other, we'll be on Twitter. Not really following the games, but yes, we'll see you all soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye all.